So now we have a look at the hearing. Okay, hearing. So now we see what response the hearing response. Okay, now the three things in the hearing is also the same. The receptors, the inner hair cells, inner hair cells. Okay, IHC. So I will use the word IHCs, inner hair cells. IHC are the inner hair cells. Okay, so inner hair cells, IHCs, inner hair cells. Okay, where? Of cochlea, organ of Corti. So organ of Corti contain the inner hair cell. Okay, the pathway is auditory pathway, that is taught very well in ENT and even anatomy. So auditory pathway, and area is area 42 mainly, 43 also. Okay, temporal lobe, superior temporal gyrus. Okay, so that is the location. Again, function of the area we have discussed in broad, so that's why I don't have to discuss the area, that's done already in details. Okay, pathway is done in terms of anatomy and this, so again don't have to discuss. I'll focus mainly on the neurophysiology of signal transduction in the hearing. Okay, so how is this occurring? So let's start now. So basically what happens, a brief idea about this is, let's say I'm making a basic diagram about the cochlea. Okay, this is the cochlea. Okay, now the cochlea has two chambers. Fine, and the two windows are oval and the round. Okay, this is the oval window and this is the round window. Okay, so oval window and the round window. Okay, so oval and the round. Okay, this is scala vestibuli, this is scala tympani. Okay, and this scala media. Okay, scala media. Okay, now what do they contain? So first is it contain perilymph, which is same as plasma, perilymph. So perilymphs are same as plasma and they meet at which point? Helicotrema. This was asked in exam, again taught in ENT also, even anatomy also. I am just taking it for the sake of completion. Scala media contain endolymph, it contain endolymph. Okay, so it contain the endolymph. Okay, so scala media contain what thing? It contain the endolymph. Okay, and this is what membrane? BM. I'll write the full form BM, basilar membrane. Basilar membrane. Okay, so this basilar membrane contain these hair cells. Okay, and these are what things? The stereocilia. Okay, so these are what things? These are the stereocilia. Is it clear? So these are the stereocilia. Okay, so these are the stereocilia. Okay, done. So these are the stereocilia. Done. So I'll discuss them later. These are the inner hair cell, IHC. Outer are also there but not required to show. Okay, clear? So they are present on the basilar membrane, the inner hair cells. Okay, now let's discuss the concept. Okay, what happens is when the foot plate of stapes, okay, so when the foot plate of stapes strike what window? The oval window. Strike the oval window, it set the perilymph into motion. So the perilymph inside is set into motion like this, okay, rather I'll use this. So it is set into motion like this, okay. So now as it is set in motion, it causes the movement of the perilymph, and as the perilymph is in motion, the basilar membrane lying over the perilymph also start to move up and down, okay. So it will also start to move up and down in this case, is it clear now? So also start to move up and down, and as it move up and down, what is the obvious result of that? The result is the hair cell also will move, so it will also be moving. So let me show how the hair cells move. So next topic is movement of hair cells, right? Right. So the movement of tympanic membrane with the sound and 3 ossicles, what happens? So what happens? It sets 3 ossicles, means what? The stapes. So it sets perilymph into motion. So what happens is it sets the perilymph into motion and basilar membrane BM, okay, start going up and down, start going up and down. So what is the motion it is going? Up and down. So either it goes up or it goes down. So that is why the basilar membrane is showing the motion in what direction? Up and down, okay. Now what happens? Now we require to see, okay, in the diagram form. So let me show the diagram, okay. Let's say this is the basilar membrane. So this is the BM, basilar membrane BM, okay. This is the inner hair cell I am making, IHC nucleus. These are very thin projections over the cell called as stereocilia. Stereocilia, okay, stereocilia, okay. So they are used, called as what thing? Stereocilia, okay. So stereocilia, okay, okay. So stereocilia, okay, done. Now if the stereocilia is surrounding, there is this structure, this is the scala media which contain the endolymph, okay. Now endolymph is rich in potassium, okay. So what is the thing which is filled up highly inside? It is the endolymph which is filled in high quantities, and it is very rich in what thing? Very rich in potassium, okay. So very rich in potassium, okay, clear. So very rich in potassium, is it clear? So very rich in potassium, okay, clear, fine. Now what happens? There are blood vessels which are lining the scala media, okay, called as stria vascularis. What they do? They secrete the endolymph, MCQ, which is having very high amount of potassium, okay. So which contain potassium more than ICF also. So which chamber has potassium even more than the ICF? That is cell, that is the scala media endolymph, okay, it's filled. Now what happens? First, there is a very thick membrane which is present over here. This membrane cover the top of the hair cells, called as the what thing? Called as what thing? The tectorial membrane. So I'll just write TM, tectorial membrane. So I'll write here tectorial membrane, TM. Okay. So as the hair cell will go up and down with the basilar membrane, the stereocilia will bend against the stiff, it's very stiff, tectorial membrane, and as they bend against the stiff tectorial membrane, what will happen? It will lead to a bending of the stereocilia. So it causes what? A bending of the stereocilia. So right here, so what happens? It causes bending of stereocilia against tectorial membrane, and as the stereocilia bend, what happens? Potassium channels open. Now something very amazing will occur. Normally whenever potassium channel open, what is the change they will produce? Yes, the change is they will always and always be causing what change? Yes, they will be causing what? The potassium to go out. But since endolymph contain more potassium, let's say I open what thing? What happen? The potassium of the what thing? This will enter inside the cell. So potassium enter cell. For the first time, potassium you will see not going out but coming inside. So that's what happens. Potassium enter inner hair cell. And you know, when a plus ion enter the cell, it become more positive. What is going towards the plus side called as depolarization, and that causes depolarization. Okay, so that causes a depolarization. Okay, clear? So that causes a depolarization in this particular case. So I hope it's clear. So that results in depolarization. Okay, clear? So depolarization. Fine? Done? Fine? So what happens? The potassium will enter the inner hair cell, and that causes the depolarization. Is it clear now? So that will result in the phenomena of depolarization. Done? Now comes the question, okay, these depolarizations, they are a type of what? Local potential. Okay, they are not the AP. Okay, called as CMPs. What are CMPs? Cochlear microphonic potentials. Cochlear okay. So they are a type of local potential. They don't travel, they remain there. So they are a type of graded or local potential. They don't travel anywhere. So what happens? They don't travel anywhere. So what happens? These potentials are converted into APs by spiral ganglia. Okay. So who will convert them to the APs? The answer is spiral ganglia will convert this into the action potential. So now we will get the action potential in the end. Okay, and also their axons continue as what? As, yes, cochlear nerve. Okay, so these are the changes. Okay, so let me summarize what are the changes. See, endolymph is filled with potassium. So endolymph is filled with potassium. As the potassium enter the inner hair cell, what will be the response? The response is the cell will become depolarized to much higher greater extent. Clear? So cell will get depolarized to much higher and greater extent. Is it clear now? So much higher and greater extent. Okay, as the cell become depolarized to a much higher or greater extent, what is the change? We will see. the change is, it is called as depolarization, okay, when it becomes more and more positive, okay. And what is this deviation called as? There are type of local potential called as the cochlear microphonic potential, and they are converted to AP when they cross the firing level by the spiral ganglia, and then they give the cochlear nerve, okay. 2-3 questions to remember, okay, right. First is, there is something called as endolymphatic potential. There are type of endocochlear or endolymphatic potential. Why? You know endolymph is rich in potassium. So what happens? It creates a net positive charge with respect to the, yes, the perilymph, okay. So what happens is, perilymph is same as plasma, means it has high sodium but less potassium, okay, whereas endolymph in scala media has rich amount of potassium. So that is why what happens, there is net electrical potential between scala media, that is endolymph, and scala, same thing, tympani and vestibuli are same because they contain the same fluid, scala, tympani, or you can say vestibuli. So if you put electrodes in the two, you will find a net potential difference, okay. So called as endolymphatic potential, EPP, endo, yeah, rather just write EP, endolymphatic potential, yeah, ELP, and this ELP is because of what? Difference between the ion composition of endolymph and the perilymph, okay. So endolymph and the perilymph, clear now? So endolymph and the perilymph, okay, clear? So clear now? So called as the, yes, EP, okay, fine, done. Next is what else we will see, okay, okay, right. What is the value? Normal values plus 85 to plus 100 millivolt, that means it is very positive with respect to, why? Due to high potassium it is very positive, okay. Now write, next topic is von Bacchus travelling wave theory, okay, travelling wave theory or place principle for frequency discrimination, okay. So that is the name. So travelling wave theory or place principle for what thing? Frequency discrimination, okay. Now let me explain, okay. You know if a sound has a high frequency, it will decay very fast. So high frequency sounds decay rapidly, they decay rapidly and travel short distance, okay. So they will decay like this, okay, and they will not travel, whereas and vice versa. I will show it in a diagram form, just make it. So I will show it, okay, let us see. So I will make a better one, have a look, see. So look at this wave, this is the total time it will take, okay. So time, and let us say frequency is 5 per second, okay. Now listen to this, if I do this change, now what happens, see, the waves are coming closer, so now the frequency is increased and now they are much, they will cover more time, less time, so now the time taken is much less. So now what happens is they will cover a very little time, is it clear now? So as they come closer, what happens? They will occupy much less time. Okay, clear? So that is why the frequency can increase also, can decrease also. But as it decrease, what happens? They go to long distance. See, so now they will go for a longer time, travel longer distance. So that is why high frequency sound will decay very fast, and the lower frequency can travel to a far off distance because of, yes, low frequency means longer time they will last. Okay, so let's show this. Let's say this is the cochlea. Let's say this is the cochlea, this is the basilar membrane, this is the BM. I am just showing BM. Now I will show the parts. Let us say this is the base and this is the apex of cochlea. So base and apex. Okay. Now first thing, let us see, a high frequency sound, let us say this one. So it will basically be ending only at the base, whereas a low frequency sound can travel much further to the apex. I hope it's clear. So what frequencies will be able to reach the apex? The low frequencies. What will remain localized at the base? So that's why base has high frequency sound and apex has low frequency. So that's why which area is responsible for sending the info about the low frequency sound? Apex. What is causing high frequency sound? It is the base responsible for sending high frequency sounds. Okay, so high frequency sound. So low frequency apex, high frequency is base. Okay, so high frequency is base in this case. Okay, clear? Fine. Is it clear? Fine. Okay, fine. Chalo. So I hope it's clear. Okay, and remember, when the hair cells are moving, they cause what? Depollution. But when they return, that cause the hyper or repollution. So again they keep showing the both the changes. They can show D also and they can show re. When the potential close, that will cause repollution or hyperpollution also. Okay, so that's why they keep showing D hyper and DN hypers. Okay, so don't think they are only showing D, they can show hyper also when the potassium channels can close up. Okay, fine. So this is the principle. Okay, now we see the next concept, that is number 3, the olfactory system. Okay, so olfactory system. So first is I will discuss the receptors. So where are they? First, receptors at olfactory epithelium, roof of the nose. Okay, so location is roof of the nose. Okay, what the area, total area? Area is 2 to 5 centimeter square. Okay, next, odorant, the chemical which cause the smell. Odorant bind receptor and open sodium, some would give calcium but both are present, sodium calcium channels, and that cause depolarization. And I told you always, all receptors cause depolarization. So all receptors cause depolarization, so they cause depolarization. And then apigenesis, once cross firing, AP above firing level. Okay, so apigenesis above what level? Above the firing level. Okay, so apigenesis above the firing level. So apigenesis above the firing level. Okay, clear? Clear? Fine. So apigenesis above the firing level. Okay, clear? So what happens? Then they travel in olfactory nerve, relay where mitral cells of glomeruli. So mitral cells are the relay station in the next olfactory tract and bulb, they are present. Clear? So olfactory tract and bulb, and then main thing is what? Without relay in thalamus. So that is the main thing. The olfactory pathway doesn't relay in the thalamus. Without relay in thalamus, reach olfactory cortex. What is the main area here? The main area here in the olfactory which count is entorhinal cortex, temporal lobe. Temporal lobe. So 2-3 question. First, olfactory pathway. What are the relay cells? Mitral cells. They are the relay cells. Okay. And what is the location? It is temporal lobe, entorhinal cortex. Okay, entorhinal. Okay. And again they cause what? Again questions of what? Smell, perception. So it's not a very important system. Why? Because smell is rarely used by humans. We are mainly visual stimuli dependent. Okay. So most question come from either hearing or vision, not from olfactory. Fourth we see is which system? The fourth we have is the system of the right taste, that is gustatory system. So taste is gustatory system. So taste is what system? Taste is gustatory system. Okay. So taste is gustatory system. Okay. Fine. So taste is gustatory system. Okay. And what happens in the taste of gustatory? First is right, the cortical center they ask is insular cortex. MCQ. Okay. So what is the cortical center? Insular cortex. And taste pathway relay via thalamus. That is the question. Ask what? VPMN, ventero-posteromedial nucleus. Okay. So it relay via ventero-posteromedial nucleus. Okay. So ventero-posteromedial nucleus. Okay. Now we see what are the other important structures and the functions. So let's start. Okay. What are the locations? Right. The taste receptors that is they are where? Present over tongue as taste buds or papilla. Okay. So present over the tongue as the taste buds or papilla. Okay. So I hope it's clear. So it is taste buds and papillae. Okay. So taste buds and papilla. Okay. So taste buds and the papilla are having. Okay. Clear? So present over the tongue, taste buds and papillae. Okay. Fine. So taste buds or papilla. Okay. Now what are the main papillas? You can write. They are circumvallate, papillae. Okay. Circumvallate papillae. Then fungiform, filiform. Okay. So circumvallate, fungiform, filiform. Okay. So circumvallate, fungiform, filiform. Okay. Now filiform has no taste receptor. So which one is devoid of taste receptor? The fungiform and the circumvallate have, but the filiform has no taste receptor. Okay, and the nerve supply of the tongue you already know, is very commonly asked questions. I am just giving a revision. The tongue, anterior 2/3 by which nerve? Chorda tympani. Okay, so chorda tympani. So anterior 2/3 is which nerve? Chorda tympani, which is which nerve? Which is the, yes, branch of 7th nerve. Okay, so it is the branch of which nerve? 7th nerve. Okay, and the posterior 1/3 is what? Is the glossopharyngeal nerve. Okay, so posterior 1/3 is glossopharyngeal nerve. Okay, so glossopharyngeal nerve, is it clear? So posterior 1/3 is which nerve? Glossopharyngeal nerve. Okay, so anterior 2/3 is chorda tympani, posterior 1/3 is 9th nerve. Okay, is the 9th nerve. Okay, clear? Next is right. Okay, so this is clear now. Okay, now write mechanism of taste sensation. So we discuss what? Mechanism of all, like vision is what? Sodium channel closer, hearing is potassium opening, smell is sodium and calcium. Now we see the taste. Mechanism of taste, you can say sensation, yeah, taste signal transduction, let's write taste sensation. So first is we have salty, it is by sodium potassium, or you can say ions of alkali metal. Okay, so ions of what thing? Alkali metals. Okay, so ions of what thing? Alkali metal are responsible for this thing. Okay, clear? So ions of alkali metal is the concept, is it clear? So salty is the case. Number 2 is sour. Sour is caused by acid, that is H plus ions. So anything which contain the H plus, it will taste sour. So when you eat something which you say is very sour or sour whatever, is because of acid. Salty is because of sodium potassium. Sweet and bitter, they are same. Why I say sweet and bitter are same? Because they have almost same mechanism. So what is the mechanism? We will see. Sweet is also G protein receptor mediated, G protein receptor, and bitter also G protein receptor. So now you will think, how can they be different? The answer is they both are G, but they bind to different things. So bind what? Bind sugars. Okay, bind sugars. Okay, so they will bind sugars. They will bind what thing? They will bind sugars. Okay, then also what? Aspartate, which is added in artificial sweeteners, then also saccharin, etc. One question they ask is, what is the natural sweetest tasting sugar? The answer is fructose. If they say fructose is naturally most sweet, so it is most sweet tasting natural sugar. So most sweet tasting natural sugar is this one. Okay, okay, it's not sucrose, not maltose, it is, yes, fructose is most sweet tasting natural sugar. Okay, now you will say, what about the bitter? They bind most poisons. So that's why poisons taste bitter. Why? Because they are harmful for body. So brain has a system where it detect the harmful things as bitter, you spit and save your life. Most poisons, oral drugs, etc. Example here is quinine. So quinine is very bitter. Why? Because very toxic. So more a drug is toxic or harmful, more is the bitter effect. So that is why it is having a very bitter taste. Okay. Now recently scientists, okay, so recently scientists have discovered something unique. Okay, and remember one thing, a misconception is some areas responsible for some different taste, like tip is for sweet, back for bitter. That was a misconception. The latest research say all areas can perceive the taste without any problem. So that's why technically all areas can sense bitter, they can sense sweet. Okay. Now write fifth. Right, we have discovered a new taste, umami. It was discovered by Japanese scientists because they eat lots of food which contain this natural umami substance. Like it is by MSG, or sometimes given the name as MS glue. So what is MSG or MS glue? It is monosodium glutamate. Okay, clear? So monosodium glutamate, okay, is the okay. And what is the natural occurring form? It is present in some substance, but in the market it is sold as Ajinomoto salt. Okay, so what is the market name? Ajinomoto. Example, you eat some Japanese Chinese cuisine, they add this long crystals, they are the Ajinomoto crystals, and they have a taste, a very unique taste called as umami. Okay, fine. Now remember one misconception. Okay, so right, chili or spicy is not taste. So someone say I love chili flavor or spicy taste, no, it's not taste. Okay, but pain sensation, So that is why if someone say I love eating spicy, so actually not describing the taste, they are actually burning or giving the pain to their mouth. Okay, so that's why where can you have this chili can be felt where? Mouth or any other place also. Yes, the chili can be felt in mouth also, nose, eye, skin. So that's why it can be felt at other places. Why? Because it is not taste but pain. Okay, next, what do chili contains? Write down active substance. So chilies contain capsicum. So capsicum is the active ingredient. Okay, remember capsicum is a chili, capsicum. Remember capsicum is from capsicum something. Okay, now it bind to pain receptor. What is the name? In a person who's eaten lots of spicy food or this hot, what do you ask? Eat something cold, yes or no? What is the most common thing you eat in cold condition? That is ice, na? So ice is the food you give or take. So that's why ice, and the most common flavor of ice cream, sorry, that is vanilla. So vanilloid receptor. So it is called as the vanilloid receptors. MCQ. So what is the chili flavor or the hot sensation because of vanilloid receptor? Short form VR or TRPV. I'll tell you why TRPV. So called as vanilloid or TRPV receptors. What happens? They open calcium channels. Okay, clear? Fine. So open calcium channel. Okay, so they open calcium channel, and that cause depolarization called as transient receptor potential, vanilloid. Now got the idea? So what is TRP means? Transient receptor potential, that is TRP. Got the idea? V is for vanilloid. Okay, so that is why what are the pain receptors? TRPVs are pain receptors. MCQ. So TRPVs are pain receptor. And now what happens? Then it causes apigenesis, above firing level, apigenesis. Then sensory nerve which carry the pain, general sensory nerve, they will carry the APs to the brain and then produce hot, burning, painful sensation. Hot, burning, painful sensations. Okay, so what do you get? The hot, burning, painful sensation is there. Okay, So hot burning painful sensations are caused by this. Okay, fine. So hot burning painful sensations. Okay,